What's up, everybody? See if we can get this set up here. I think we got everything going. What happened? Do I need to do this? No, I didn't want to do that. I want to share the screen. There we go. All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? Suspicious person t-shirt, available noidforyou.com. That's that. Hey, purpose of this live stream is to, I want to go over how I used to put people in jail and how I used to basically flip people from getting a misdemeanor to a felony, which is basically one question. So that's what the purpose of this live stream is. Going to give it a minute or two for people to jump on in here. In the meantime, I'm going to be a little quiet while I get this set up because I'm not very good at this. View on the YouTube. What does that do? All right, people. Just working? All right, people. Ooh, I don't like that. Just working? All right, I'm back. All right, who we got? Who jumped on in here? Thanks for jumping in. Got 2 people in. Awesome. Appreciate you dropping by. Let me know where you're coming from in the comments. We'll get going here in just a second. Let's give me a beverage. It's going to be a long one. Maybe. I hope not. But, all right, let's get into this. I don't know who I got. They don't want to let me know in the comments, but that's all right. So, here's the deal, people. I used to work for a big box retailer, and we'll say it's a blue lumber company. Talked about it before in the stream. I did that in 2008 when the economy crashed, when I used to be a, hey, Belfast, Ireland, I'm international. Awesome. Thanks, Stevie54. Talking about American laws, and probably applies to police in Ireland. Check your local laws. But, hey, don't talk to the cops. So I used to be a big box fraud investigator. In 2008, had my own company, private investigations company, for about 25 years. Economy crashed in 2008 and had to find work. Still wanted to chase bad guys or serve my country. That's where my mindset was at. And so I fell into retail investigations and started out. What's up, Miss M Star? Talking about don't talk to cops. My past, past putting people in jail, and how I used to flip people with one question. So the way it started out was used to catch shoplifters. I needed to do what I had to do and to make a living, help feed the family. And so I took a job in loss prevention, and it was fun. I had a blast. I put some real shitheads in jail, some people that deserve to be in jail. And kind of changed retail, if you will, changed the way you do refunds. If you've ever done a retail refund at a red lumber company or an orange lumber company. And so here's the deal. Let's get into this. Let me go over here and we'll jump on into it. So let me put out a disclaimer for this live feed. It's not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. Just a stupid guy on the internet sharing my opinions. Second, if you steal from a retailer or anybody else, you're a dickhead. Yep. I was part of the system. That was then, it's not now, and I won't be a part of the system again. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody else's word for it. Right? Do your own research. If you rely on my research, you're no smarter than me, and I'm not a very bright guy. All right, so let's take a look at this. In America, most corporations, and I'm speaking from years of working asset prevention, loss prevention in a retail environment. Most corporate retailers have a policy in place in order to effect apprehensions. Okay. And they're pretty strict. And I enjoy watching the Walmart videos and all the other ones, obviously because I have some inside knowledge. But in most cases, in most retailers that I've worked with, and I've worked with all of them. I've worked with the Walmarts, the Targets, the Depots, the Lowe's, you name it. I've worked with them. They all have a very similar policy in that before you can make a stop, right, you have to have 5 steps. You have to see the person enter the department or aisle without the merchandise. Makes sense, right? They don't have it. Select the merchandise, take it off the shelf, right? Conceal the merchandise, put it on their person somewhere, right? And then you have to maintain that observation, right? You can't lose sight of them. Some companies have a policy where you can do 30 seconds with lost observation. Some companies don't. All right. Then you got to pass all points of sale with the merchandise, right? It's not exit the store. Let's get that straight. When I see people saying, oh, you can't stop me, I didn't even leave the store. Bullshit. You passed every opportunity to pay for the stuff. You're a thief, right? Very few questions. Stevie 54, no, not armed. Are not, cops in Ireland are not, and real teddies compared to, I'm not sure how to take that. Stevie. So there you go. There you have the 5 steps for retail. I just want to kind of lay some foundations, right, on what this stuff looks like. All right. So most shopliftings are misdemeanors in Arizona. And again, these laws apply in Arizona. This is the state that I worked asset protection in. This is the state that I know the laws, right? This is the state that I educated the cops on how to prosecute shoplifters to the fullest extent, because when I first started, they didn't. So what's the goal of every question, right? To get somebody to admit to the crime, right? In this case, we're going to talk about shoplifting. In other cases, you may be talking about a traffic stop, right? Traffic stop's not the crime of the world, but there are consequences for it. And this is really why you shouldn't talk to cops. All right. You shouldn't talk to anybody that's accusing you of a crime. Hashtag shut the F up. So, like I said, in most shopliftings in Arizona are prosecuted as misdemeanors. Most of the time, it's a cite and release. Most of the time, that's how it goes, and the guy or gal is out to do it again. So the goal when I started, this was back in 2015, 16, I think it was. It was back then. But the goal for for them was just to see if they can get away with it. But for the retailers was, how do we stop the end game, right? What's the root cause, right? And what everybody was doing with the merchandise that they were stealing is they weren't going to the gas station to try and sell it in the parking lot. Yes, some of them did. But what the bulk of them were doing was returning the merchandise, right? And that in and of itself is the felony. So if you shoplift in Arizona and you return it, there's a felony involved. Can be prosecuted as that. So how does that work, right? And by taking merchandise from a retailer, in Arizona, people think it's just, it's just shoplifting. No big deal. Corporations can handle it. Let me tell you, folks, it's billions of dollars. And it doesn't just hurt the company. It hurts every employee in the retail. Because if the company's not making money, they can't afford to pay their employees money. They can't afford to give them great benefits and things like that. So when people steal from the retailers, they're not just stealing from big business. They're taking literally food and money off the people at the table who work in the store, the schmucks like you and me. So, but here's what I ended up figuring out as I studied the law here in Arizona. There's lots of felonies you could be charged with in Arizona for shoplifting. So you can go anywhere up to a class 6 felony, right? Up to 2 years, 4 months, and in 2 years, all the way up to a class 6 felony, right? Class 6 felony, one step below murder. I hate to break it to you, for stealing shit and selling shit you stole, or selling shit somebody else stole. So how do we get there from somebody walking in the store? And how do I flip somebody from doing a simple misdemeanor to a felony? Here we go. Well, okay. First, what does a shoplifter look like? I caught all kinds of shoplifters. You can see they look all kinds. There's no shoplifters don't look like shoplifters, right? I always train my associates. You don't profile people on race, right? You don't profile people on religion, anything like that. Demeanor, attire, and associates. That's it. That's what you profile in people. Are they acting right? Are they dressed appropriately? In other words, is it 100 and F outside and they're wearing a big heavy jacket? And associates, are they hanging out with people who I know are shitheads? Pretty easy to pick out a shoplifter if you're really paying attention. So, but it's all of these guys right here. All of this is what leads to the big stuff, right? So, and this is the piece that nobody thinks about. And this is really the interesting piece of this whole story, right? So it's not the shoplifters that are the problem, right? Here's what the problem was in Arizona, and here's how I decided to combat it. So let me show you the scam. Well, first of all, here are the players in the game. We saw the shoplifters, right? And on your left is the retail fence. He is the next player in the game. And then on the right is the online fence. The guy on the left is a guy that is serving a lot of time in prison right now. We seized over $60 million from him. Actually, the investigation ran about 18 months into these two. And by the end of it, we just killed this guy. We took everything from him. But he was good for about $60 million case that I identified just in Lowe's. It was crazy. So, and then you add up all the other retailers, right? The Home Depots, the Walmarts, and you can see how big this gets. So the shoplifters steal. Here, let's go show the widget. Let's go show the game. Here's the scam. So the shoplifter steals the widget. Shoplifter refunds the widget, which generates a receipt. The shoplifter then sells that store credit to the retail fence for 50 to 60% on the dollar, right? So the shoplifter gets about half the retail value of whatever they stole. So they steal $100, they get $50. That's a quick hit. That's, funding for gangs. You think I'm joking about funding for gangs and terrorists? Let me put it this way. The last slide we saw you, that traced back to Russia and Vietnam. Okay, so this shit goes all over the world. So when people are stealing shit in Ireland, Stevie 54, and they're stealing shit in America, it's all doing the same stuff, right? So they sell the store credit to the retail fence for 50 to 60% on the dollar. Then the retail guy, the storefront that the shoplifter took it to, then sells the store credit to a retail fence who gets for 60 to 80% on the dollar. So now what's that guy making? 15 to 30% on buying store credits? What's up? What's up, DA? How you doing, brother? I'm talking about laws in AZ, how I used to put people in jail for a long time. But I'm going over the scam, and then I'm going to get to how I used to interrogate people, how I used to use the law the same way the cops are trying to use the laws against us, right? I was a participant in the system, trying to share how it works, trying to educate you from the inside for what little knowledge I have, right? So they steal the widget, they refund the widget, they get the store credit, They've now sold the widget to the retailer, right? The storefront. The storefront then sells it to the online retailer for 65 to 80%. And then the online retailer then sells it to you for 90% on the dollar. And you think you're getting 10% off. But what was that 10% generated from? Look at all that money laundering going on, right? So that's what really motivated me originally, kind of to study the shoplifting laws. Being a private investigator for a long time, I was already interested in that, but I had a little knowledge to figure out how to read the law a little bit. And as I study the law more and more, it's stupid, simple language. It's made for the common man. So let's get on to it. So now you know we've talked about the company policies for the shoplifting. We talked about the players in the shoplifting. And we've talked about the scam and the shoplifting. Okay, so now let's get to when we made the stop, right? We made a stop. Now I got the guy in custody. Now, if you go back to the beginning of the video, I went over that most retailers, most corporate retailers, man, DA, that's my goal, brother. Sharing, dropping knowledge, man. We learn from each other, right? I learn from all you guys. Hopefully I got something to share too. So I'm just trying to do my part. So I got the guy in custody, right? And if you go back, you watch that, the first part of the video, I go over retailers' policies for a loss prevention or asset protection person to stop somebody for suspected shoplifting in a retail environment, right? So I've got all my 5 steps. So I know whatever. Hey, I've been doing it for a long time. I know how to write a report. And I've got my 5 elements. So as long as I put my 5 elements, they came into the store. I saw them without the merchandise. They selected the merchandise, right? They concealed the merchandise. I kept constant observation on them. And I waited for them to pass the last point of sale. That's shoplifting. Classic, right? I've got all my steps. I can testify to it. Here's what you don't know. At that point, it's just a misdemeanor. And it's really just a citizen's arrest. Yeah, I'm going to call the cops. I'm going to try and get them out here. I'm going to try and take them to jail, trying to get them to take care of my problem for a little while and maybe get a little information from this person. But most of the time, what that ended up being was a cite and release, and I never solved the problem, right? Because a cite and release. Oh, and also in Arizona at the time, these shoplifters would just go out and get new IDs like it's freaking candy, and get a new ID number. So when we tracked it was a whole thing. It was just a mess. And but here's what I learned when I started catching the law and reading it, and I looked into it. So I figured out how to flip somebody with just one question, how to get them to admit to a felony and take that misdemeanor where they only had a cite and release because it was a crime not committed in the officer's presence, right? Now it's a felony. Now they get to take them, even though it wasn't in the officer's presence, right? It's a felony. They have to take them. If I write my report right? If I write my report right and I got good video, they're going to take them. But I got to get the statements and I got to get them to answer one question. So let's look at the law. Okay, so this is the shoplifting law, and I just really want to go over this. It really covers the 5 steps in the 13-1805 is the criminal shoplifting code in Arizona, right? So it goes over what qualifies as shopping, concealment, or shoplifting, concealment, transfer of goods from one container to another. That's what's called box stuffing, paying less than the purchase price. That's called tag switching. So basically outlines. This is also the interesting thing in Arizona. A couple of interesting things. A person is presumed to have the necessary culpable mental state pursuant to subsection A. So what that means is you have the state of mind to commit the shoplifting if you knowingly conceals the item on himself or another person. Get that? So once you conceal the merchandise, you've already committed the crime. All right. Uses an artifice or device. Artifice or device. This is an interesting part. We're going to come back to that because that's a good piece. Then it goes on to say that the merchants can detain them for a reasonable cause, for a reasonable manner, if they suspect somebody of shoplifting. And reasonable cause is the defense for civil action. This is a good piece. If you read this law, some of the parts that I haven't highlighted, fun fact here, in the law, let me see if I can find out. Oh, here it is. Crap, I want to go back. Sorry, guys. Where did it go? Here it is. Any merchant who is injured by the shoplifting of an adult or emancipated minor in violation of subsection A of this section may bring civil action against the adult or emancipated minor. All right, but remember we talked about it's reasonable defense against the civil action if I have reasonable cause when I detain you. So basically, what that says in Arizona is if I got you dead to rights and I'm a retailer and I don't want to follow my corporate policy. I never did that. I always followed the corporate policy. Always follow the corporate policy. But if I get injured or you hurt me as that process, guess who has to? I can come after you civilly. So if you shoplift and you get hurt, tough shit, Cookie. Tough Kitty said the kitty when the milk went dry. Is that how that works? Cool. We got 11 people in here. Let's check out the chat. We got Cajun Randy. What's up in the house? Press with Rancor. What's up, my man? Thanks for dropping in, everybody. Let me know where you're from in the chat, if you will. Do all that YouTube shit too. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. So, okay, getting back to the topic at hand. Let's look at H, and I'm really hoping you guys can see this. Shoplifting property with a value of $2,000 or more. Shoplifting property during any continual criminal episode of shoplifting, if done to promote or further assist any criminal street gang, syndicate, is a class 5 felony. Shoplifting property with a value of $1,000 or more, but less than $2,000 is a class 6 felony. Is going to get good here in a minute. Shoplifting with a value of less than $1,000 is a misdemeanor. So, and if you have a firearm, it's a class 6 felony. So most shopliftings get done as a class 1 misdemeanor. Person in the course of shoplifting uses an artificial device or other other article with the intent to facilitate shopping, or who commits shoplifting, who has previously committed shoplifting, been convicted of shoplifting 3 times within the last 5 years of 2 or more offenses involving burglary, shoplifting, robbery, organized retail theft, is guilty of a class 4 felony. So that's interesting stuff, right? So I don't know if you guys are familiar. In Arizona, there's this neat little website called Arizona Public Access. So do a Google search on it. Check the Google. You can go in there and you can search anybody's first and last name and check out their criminal record. And yeah, Rancor, go sub to Rancor. Definitely check him out. He put up a good one the other day. I think I shared it on my community page. But anyway, yeah, on Arizona Public Access. So why I'm talking to these people, I've already got their ID. I'm looking them up, or I'm having somebody else in the other room look them up on Arizona Public Access. I don't need any special super database to get that information. But if while I'm looking at the information, I see that they've been convicted or 2 or more times in the last 5 years, I know I have them for a felony. I don't even have to answer questions. I just have to know their name. And I don't think I ever had anybody not tell me their name. in 6-7 years of doing that, I don't think I ever had anybody not tell me their name. But yeah, but it was always hard to get people to prosecute the felonies on dollar values. I don't know why, but they just didn't want to prosecute felonies on dollar values, but there was other ways to get them. So again, I love to study the law. Remember, we talked about several different sections in here and how they refer back to each other and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's how you can find out. This is how I realized is when this instrument, artifice, or device. Because a lot of times chicks will come in with purses, guys will use backpacks, all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, why aren't we prosecuting those as felonies? I never understood it. And but we'll get to how I educated the cops after in a few minutes. So this is organized retail crime, right? So let's look into that. So we have the shoplifting. Now let's look into the organized retail crime. Person commits organized retail theft if the person is acting alone or in conjunction with another person does any of the following. Removes merchandise from a retail establishment without paying the purchase price with the intent to resell or trade the merchandise for money or other value. Uses an artifice or device. We've talked about that a couple of times. Have you figured out the one question yet? If you've been with the stream for a while, Shibi, real lady that got beat by the police for shoplifting a what? Yeah, right. Let me put it this way. Loss prevention is not what it used to be. I think it's a rare thing these days that you see people loss prevention beating people up or using force to detain people. It wasn't too long ago. I did that. I used force to detain people. So it's a lot of fun, let me tell you. But yeah, so yeah, that was Loveland, Colorado. Oh, you're right, Cajun Randy. That was Loveland, Colorado. That poor old lady. And yeah, those cops got what they. I just heard, Cajun Randy. I just heard that the chick who showed up on that scene, she got 45 days in jail for failure to intervene. Ha! Take that. So yeah, you figured out the one question, right? We talked about what the scam is. We talked about that. The scam, right? Steal the widget, refund the widget, get the store credit, right? And then they sell the widget. Okay, there's my felony. What were you going to do with the merchandise? You just going to return it? You need some money for food? Yeah. Right? And I just flipped that simple shoplifting from a simple misdemeanor to a felony, a class 4 felony, punishable by up to 2.5 years in jail. Right? So we use that statute a lot. And what I started doing was, like I tell you guys to do, you know, those cards, I've done videos on this on my channel. The little cards I keep in there with the top 10 laws available at noidforyou.com. I'm not grifting here. I'm telling you where I got the idea from. But they are available. The top 10 laws, please use to suspend your freedoms here in Arizona. But I printed out the laws, these 3 things. I printed them out and I had them in my office. And when the cops would show up, you know, because I would always leave it up to the cops when I first started in this and I first started dealing with the police as a loss prevention person, and then eventually as a fraud investigator. When I first started dealing with the police, fuck it. Police know what they're doing, right? They're the cops. They know how to make this shit go away. I catch them. I tell them what happened, and then I'm not supposed to see him anymore. But I'd see him like a day later, 2 days later, and that shit was just crazy. And I got tired of it. And I got tired of the cops taking advantage of my store. because, you know, I took ownership of those people I worked with every day, and all that money that those shitheads were stealing from the store took away from my bonus as an employee that I got from the store's performance. And it pissed me off. And it pissed off people who worked a lot harder than I did and made less money than I did. And they were taken from them. And that's what made me mad. So, yes, here in Phoenix, I worked for Lowe's, the big box. Started out at Home Depot as a shoplifter catcher, went over to Lowe's for a little while as a shoplift catcher, and then ended up being starting their organized retail crime division. And it was one of the first investigators over there to head up for Lowe's. And then we ended up shutting this refund shit down once I figured out the scam. So what I would do is I would print these laws out and I would keep them in my office. And when the cops came in, and I would outline for them in the statement, in my report, and then I get them to sign a sorry letter to, you know, store manager, probably easier on you, may not press charges, may not go for that felony. If you write a letter, tell them you're sorry for stealing, right? I got a written confession. And so I'd hand them the law. I'd tell them, okay, I want this person charged with 13-1805, whatever, or I want them charged with 13-1819A, because they admitted to me that they were going to refund the item, which is actually reselling the item for cash or other value, right? And that's it. That's the felony. There's no way around it. They admitted to it. They stole it. So in one question, hey man, what are you going to do with it? You're going to return that merchandise? That's how you flip somebody. That's why you don't talk to cops, because one simple question, just one, can get you from that traffic ticket to something stupid because you didn't shut the fuck up. So shut up. All right. So trafficking and stolen property. So trafficking and stolen property is a person who initiates, organizes, finances, plans, directs, manages, supervises theft or tracking and stolen property. Okay. Third degree felony. Trafficking and stolen property in the first degree is a class 2 felony. One step below murder in Arizona for stealing shit. Don't steal shit in Arizona. That's why you don't see these guys going in and doing all that shit anymore in Arizona, right? So let me go back. I want to go back and I want to talk about these guys. All right. Thanks. Hey, 8 of you who are in here, thanks for sticking around. I appreciate you, right? But let me tell you what asking good questions get you, okay? And how, you know, the government isn't going to help you save your community, okay? The government's not going to help you, right? So it's upon us citizens, you business owners, to protect yourself, right? And when somebody does you wrong, either by causing you physical harm or stealing your shit, they need to be held accountable, right? And what was going on here in Arizona was insane. The amount of refunds was insane. I'm talking, you know, I'm probably talking tens of millions, or close to over $10 million a day in refunds across the country, minimum for the company I worked for, right? Just in one day. That's how insane this shit is. And so I kept hearing about, sorry, I got a little sidetracked, squirrel. So I kept hearing about, I was doing all these interviews, right? And I kept hearing about from these shoplifters, oh, we're selling the cards to Cardfather. We're selling the cards to Cardfather. Or and then it was also going on down in Tucson, right? And so I started working with my other loss prevention teammates, and we started looking into it. And we found this guy is the owner of Cardfather and his wife. And what they were doing is they were handing out heroin needles. They were giving people cash, holding raffles, doing all kind of shit for, who could bring in the most store credits or who could bring in the biggest store credit. And they were literally doing all of that shit. And so that I started calling, this was going on in Glendale. That's where this guy's base of operations is at Thunderbird. And I want to say right around 25th Avenue, if you're here in Phoenix. I used to catch receipts from large closed revenues, numeric codes. Yeah, you want to look them up. Oh, that's from the UK. I stopped now. Good, man. Don't steal shit. Go earn it. Make a living. It's a lot more satisfying. Plus, you don't end up in a cage. But good for you for owning your shit. So found out that this guy was in Glendale. And he also had a location down in Tucson. And then I got promoted to this organized retail manager position, gave me a lot more freedom to do investigations. I started really digging into the guy and finding out the scope of the problem. And I called Glendale PD. They wanted nothing to do with it. I think he was paying off the mayor or council or something, because Glendale PD, this was going on in their jurisdiction for years, and they wanted nothing to do with it. Absolutely zero, nada from a leadership level. Now, I can tell you that the beat cops, they understood the nature of it. Hey, job security for them, though, right? I called Tucson PD. They wanted nothing to do with it. I called every agency because it didn't just affect those two cities where those stores were. These people were stealing from everywhere, all across the state. I had 5 states. These people were stealing from. I was in charge of loss prevention for Lowe's Loss Prevention Associates in Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma. I think I had part of New Mexico for a while. Then I trained a guy to take over New Mexico and Texas. But anyway, so they were stealing from everywhere, and I'm just seeing the scope of this problem. So we dig in. I'm calling all these police departments, and nobody wants to do anything about it. But then all of a sudden, one day I'm sitting in my office and I get this call. Hi, this is Detective so-and-so from Phoenix PD. I talk to Phoenix PD on a daily basis. I talk to the police departments on a daily basis, and no big deal for me to get a call from them, right? And I got this guy stopped at the airport. Sorry about that. I forgot a drink. Got this guy stopped at the airport, and he's got some gift cards on him. I'm wondering if you could run the history and tell me what you got. And so I'm like, sure, happy to do it. I got on my little happy computer. I start typing away. And while I'm typing, trying to get these numbers and get him the information, I had curiosity, who you got? And he tells me the guy's name. I'm like, oh shit, you have no idea what you just stepped into. Turns out this guy was trying to get on a plane with like $150,000, $200,000 in cash. What an idiot. Right? 150, you try to get on a plane and he expects not to get. Now, mind you, this guy's already been in prison, and I know that. He's been in prison for some serious shit. Let me put it this way. The case involved, I'm not saying he was or was not directly involved, but the case involved loss of life. Leave it there. But he's just kind of changed his shithead mode and now gone on to this. And he just uses other shitheads to further his bigger shithead activity. And so I explained to him this whole thing. I explained to him that I've called other departments. I explained to him the volume of it, the what's going on. And he goes, all right, man. Hey, I'll take a look into it. Get the guy's number. Don't hear anything. I think I called him back. He may have called me back for some follow-up. But anyway, he gives me a bunch of cards to run. I start running, and it ends up, we get the histories, and it goes to the online fences where all these cards are going to. And the online company is the company that sells cards to you, right? So this investigation blew up like nobody's business. It had every retailer involved in the why every other retailers did get involved, but some retailers didn't want to be involved, and I don't know why. But I can tell you the big ones, everybody played, and everybody plays nice on them. When it comes to people stealing from them, all the retailers play nice. Let me put it that way. They call it cooperation, not co-opetition. Everybody's cooperating to put the shitheads in jail. So now all the retailers get together, and the Phoenix guy who runs a very unique unit, I'm not going to get into it, but they end up calling the retail crimes unit over at Phoenix PD, who I have a good relationship at the time with. And it's on like Donkey Kong. The next thing I know, I got the FBI involved. We got the IRS involved. We got the U.S. Post Office is involved. Secret Service is involved, right? And this investigation is exploding. And then I think did I save that? And then we find out that this thing is we have found out by this time that this is multiple states, obviously, because we got the FBI involved now. We got Secret Service involved now, Post Office, serious federal crimes we're looking into. Having a blast doing it. And I get the call from this investigation, the detective I'm working with in Oklahoma. And it's starting to go down, right? And so the guys sorry about that. Let's close that. Now, the guys in Oklahoma, we're running a totally separate investigation in Oklahoma, separate from Arizona, and the agencies know about it, but the bad guys don't know. Nobody's caught on to anything yet that this has got to this level. I get the call that it goes down in Oklahoma, and I want you guys to check it out. Let me know. Hopefully you can hear the volume.
All this business is now shut down. The lights are off and the doors are locked. Tonight, we're learning 4 different federal agencies are investigating fraud. A Northwest Oklahoma City store raided by federal agents this afternoon. We were there as agents took dozens of boxes and loaded them into this black van. Oklahoma City police tell us the raid is part of an ongoing investigation into A to Z gift cards near Northwest 10th and Meridian. Authorities are not releasing a lot of information, but say the case involves credit card and gift card fraud spanning multiple states, and a large amount of money is involved. Police say the case is so big, Homeland Security, the Treasury Department, the IRS, and the U.S. Attorney's Office are all investigating. Authorities would not comment on the status of any arrests, but say they are investigating this in other states as well. And there could be a lot of victims out there. Now, we should learn more when this case is filed in federal court. Reporting live in Northwest 10th and Meridian, Jonathan Cooper, KOC 05.
So there you go. So what we did as a result of that, and I've also talked about this in some other videos, is remember I've talked about language, right? Words are important, right? Cops talk a different language. Judges, attorneys, they talk a different language. Citizens talk a different language. We talk plain English, but everybody talks a different language. So I identified this big problem. and I go to my leadership and I'd say, here's the solution. You know, pretty sure I worked with a guy at the Orange Box. He was awesome. And we started brainstorming on our way to fix this. And what's the root cause of it, right? And the root cause of it was that little store credit that, you know, but the thing was, every time you do a return, we get your ID. But, you know, we didn't do anything with it other than track the refund. So this guy and I almost said his name. I don't want to out you, buddy. This guy and I, we came up with the idea that if we tie that store credit to the ID, and then you have to present the ID in order to use the store credit, then that store credit becomes non-transferable and it can't be sold, right? It eliminates the scam. So I take this idea to my leadership, and he does the same. And the leadership comes back to me, and I said, look, we're going to save all this money on theft, right? I'm talking from a loss prevention guy's point of view. We're going to save all this money on theft, right? We're not going to have any more people stealing stuff. And your shrink numbers. Now, what shrink is in retail, if you don't know, it's how much shit they lose. That's it, right? They can't keep track of it. And they came back to me and said, no, we can't do that because it's going to ruin the customer experience at the customer service desk. I'm like, what the F, right? And so I go back to some of my peers, and I go back to some people that work on the retail side of the business, not the loss prevention side of the business. And I tell them what happened. They shut me down, right? Because the store managers want this. Right? The store, because that increases their sales. Here's another dirty little secret in retail, how they report sales. If they sell 100 widgets or $100 worth of widgets and they get $50 worth of refunds for widgets, they can only say that they reported $50 in sales for widgets. Right? So if you stop the return of the widgets, right, you can still sell the same 100 widgets, but your sales have doubled, right? And so that's why the store managers wanted it, because let me tell you, retail store managers, they're making good money, real good money. So they basically, what the feedback that I ended up getting was this: you're talking the wrong language. You're talking like a loss prevention guy. You're talking like a cop, right? And it clicked. These people want to hear sales. So I go back to them, rework the presentation, basically the same fucking data, rework the presentation. And instead of saying, hey, this is how much shit's not going to get stolen, I say, this is how much sales you're gonna make. Your sales are going to increase by this much. Done. You know? And so that's a story of why when you go to Lowe's and Home Depot and you make a refund without a receipt, and then you get a store credit, and then you have to show your ID when you make a refund, you know, you can thank these guys and guys like that and guys like this. But just know that guys like this are the ones that facilitate the guys like this. So, one-way thinking, right? Exactly. You know, hey, I was guilty. I was guilty too. So, hey, here's what we're going to do. Before I go, wrap up, let me know if you have any questions. We've been going out here for about 50 minutes. I didn't really anticipate going that long, man, but I appreciate you guys hanging out. What questions you got? Talk to me. While you guys are typing in your questions, I'm going to grift. Okay. So, hey, no ID for you t-shirts. Let's close that out. No, I don't need to save it. Let's just cancel. We'll minimize it. I may want to edit this later. Let me go up here. Go over here. Bear with me, folks. There we go. My own website. Hey, cops don't know the law. Right? So look, I got some stuff up here. Look, if you don't get this information from me in Arizona and you live in Arizona, if you don't get it from me, get it from somewhere, because if you don't, the police will get your information. Okay? So here's how No ID for You works, in case you didn't know. Just go to the website, click download. My internet's really slow. But yeah, let's go over it a little bit. 2815.95. This is your responsibilities, your obligations at a traffic stop. 1324.12 is the ID law, obstructing criminal investigations, right? Criminal trespass, 2 classifications. So check this out. In Arizona, quick lesson on this, 1504 and 1502. So 1504 is for critical infrastructure. It covers government buildings and things like that. Basically says restricted area, signage. Don't be a dickhead. Follow the rules. Follow the law. Don't go into restricted areas. Follow the signs if they're lawful signs. 1315.02 in a nutshell says, get off my property if I tell you to get off my property. Right? So if you come to my front door and they tell you to leave, you got to go. You go to Walmart, they tell you to leave, you got to go. Different rules for different places. So failure to comply. That's what I got. They tried to get me with. Disorderly conduct, loitering, harassment, obstructing government operations. So these are the laws in Arizona that I put up. These are the ones that I keep with me at all times. So I recommend that you do this for your state. Regarding gift cards, why are they so prevalent for resale on eBay, etc.? It's the same thing. It's the same thing, right? 90% of those funds, those gift cards you see on eBay or wherever, are the proceeds from either stolen widgets or they stole from grandma, right? And they got grandma to go pay the government with an iTunes card. That's what those are. That's basically what that is, right? The case that I talked about, they also ended up doing credit card fraud in Atlanta, and we ended up tracking the credit card fraud back. They were getting the credit card numbers from Russia and Vietnam is where they were getting the credit card numbers from. But then they would use the stolen gift cards to fund their travel to go to another state. I caught a lady doing that. I busted her once. She stole a Southwest gift card using a stolen credit card. I got a hold of Southwest Airlines. I had them track the card. I checked her social media. She posted a picture of herself on the flight, she purchased with the stolen gift card. So that's how that works, Richard Harrison. Do stores like Lowe's and Walmart have insurance for shoplifting losses? They're self-insured, right? So they self-insure themselves. They're not insured by Allstate or the Hartford or whatever. Most big retailers are self-insured. So the shoplifting losses comes out of the profits, right? Comes from the shareholders, which shareholders. But the people that mattered to me as the guy who was on the front line were the bonuses, man, because these people rely on sales, a lot of them. I know they did it at Lowe's, and I know that Home Depot also had some performance bonuses, but it was basically, if everybody did good, we all did good. And, you know, they can't stop, you know, the shitheads. I mean, the people stealing, you know, some stores, like, let's say my home store, 59th Avenue and Northern in Glendale. That was my home store. That was where my office was at. Called it my playground. That store, if that store did $20,000 in sales a day, that was a good day, right? You know, if they did $40,000 on a weekend, they were kicking it. Autotron, what's up? What's up, Porter Farmer? Hey, so it's been a good live. I'm kind of wrapping it up, but what it's been about is how I used to put people in jail. I used to work retail and loss prevention, and I used to catch shoplifters, and then I was a retail crime investigator for 3-4 states, whatever it was, and how I used to flip people from, you know, simple misdemeanors to a felony with just one question, right? And it doesn't take much, and the reason for it is really to kind of share the background of what goes on behind with retail theft. But, you know, the important part of the stream and what I really wanted to get across was, don't talk to cops. One question could fuck you. Right? So what I would do, if you go back to the stream, what's up, Porter Farmer? Thanks for dropping in. And so, yeah, so basically go back to the stream. It was like this, right? So the scam is this: you steal a widget, you refund the widget without a receipt. You get a store credit, and then you go to a retail store down the road and you sell that store credit for 50 to 60 cents on the dollar. That retailer then sells it for 65, 70, 80% on the dollar to an online retailer who then sells it to you, the general public, for 90 cents on the dollar, right? Everybody's making money except for the retailer. And in Arizona, the way the law reads, if you steal something in Arizona, I don't care if it's a fucking popsicle. If you steal a popsicle in Arizona and you tend to resell that popsicle for cash or other value, i.e. a store credit, you're fucked. It's a felony. It's a class 4 felony. 4 months to 2.5 years in jail. And, you know, I can kick it up from there. You know, God forbid you have a history. God forbid I can tie you into somebody else that I've been working. You know, I mean, it's really easy in Arizona. Don't be shoplifting. That's why you don't see these sons of bitches, these dumb motherfuckers out in Arizona like you do in fucked up states. I'll just say it, where they're, you know, raiding stores and people aren't doing anything about it. You know, I'm happy. I'm seeing a lot of people out there. I heard seeing a lot of citizens out there say, fuck it, police got no duty to protect me. I'm taking this shit, taking care of myself. Right? You saw that old man in Vegas? You guys, or no, where was the old man? Where was the old man? Was that old man in California? I think he was in California. He shot the guy, shot my arm off. Then the guy in Vegas, go search that one out. These 17-year-old kids tried to rob the smoke shop. Kid got stabbed like 6-7 times. I mean, people they're. I ain't taking your shit. You want to come take my shit? You better come prepared, homeboy, because that shit's going down, and I ain't going down easy. So, all right. Anybody else got any questions, man? Mad Max, what's up? Mad Max, Michigan. Good stuff coming out of Michigan lately. So, all right, guys. Oh, wait, got some stuff popping in. Not even how are you doing? Hey, Press Rancor, check out this story. Now, I've heard this, I think it was third party during my time, but I was talking to, because I got started watching all these videos It was right during the time I became loss prevention because I was bored. I was looking for stuff to kill time. And, right. And, I started asking some of the cops about it and told me a story. All right, so listen to this. Guy goes to guy in a little red pickup truck. He's out at his buddy's house, not even having anything to drink. He's on his way home about 11 o'clock at night, stops at a gas station, gets some smokes, right? Just let's say it was me. I was out helping a friend. Stopped at the gas station, got some smokes. Pull out of the gas station, cops pull me over. I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but hey, man, cops are my friend. They're here to protect me, right? I'll answer their questions. I'll help them with their investigation. Hello, sir. You know why I stopped you today? I don't know. Well, you matched the description. There was a little, oh, no, that's not how the story goes. I fucked it up. I fucked up the story. Where are you coming from, right? The to and from, where are you coming from? That was it. Where are you coming from? I was coming from a friend's house. Just stopped at the store to get some smokes. That liquor store? That gas station? Yeah, the one down the road up there? Yeah. They just had the guy fit the description. Guy got cuffed and stuffed, right? Because he answered the question, right? Hey, man, what are you doing? Where are you coming from? I just come from the store. I just got done helping a buddy. Oh, I'm trying. I don't know if you're starting shit, but I'll try. You don't have to help me out, brother. Brother, you don't have to be here, man. Nobody's making you. Nobody's making you. All right. But that's some stories. Don't talk to cops. That's my live stream. I'm probably going to edit this down. That was really what I wanted to do it for. Get this edited down, get it on. We're on my No ID for You channel where I put my edited content on. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. That's it. Be good humans. Don't be a dick. That's it. Don't talk to cops. Have a good day. Suspicious person. Boom.